2 decades after the collapse of the Soviet Union and this wall, the shockwaves are still reverberating. Former Soviet bloc countries, including in Eastern Europe, are still in transition. Thus the importance of looking back at the hardship and forward to the new challenges at a conference in the European Parliament. The seminar titled Life After the Soviet Union, organized by the EPP Group and the Robert Schuman Foundation, included MEPs from countries victimized by Soviet domination. Sandra Kalniete, a former Latvian foreign minister born in a Siberian gulag, led the conference. The EPP Group member co-authored a resolution marking the Soviet breakup, calling on former Soviet republics to respect freedom, democracy, the rule of law, and human rights. It also urges the European Union to recognize that all East European states may apply for EU membership. Kalniete says many former Soviet republics are still struggling, as seen recently in Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia, and that Arab Spring can be an inspiration even in Moscow.
Also, the recent protest manifestations in Russia, I see them as the logical continuation of that revolution, popular revolution, which began but was not conceived in the rest of Soviet Union 20 years ago. If, for instance, the newly elected president of Russia, he will not change his policy and his regime, he is under the danger to be disposed as those like in Egypt and Tunisia.
Bulgarian MEP Maria Ivanova Nedelcheva is the EPP Group's coordinator on the Women's Rights Committee. She says the drive for closer ties with the EU was what led her country to reform and democratize, as an example for the EU's eastern neighbors today.
We have the duty to remember well what happened, to always thank those who fought that kind of regime and to thank those who successfully brought about the reforms that allowed us, thanks also to European Union membership, to have what we have today. That is, fundamental freedoms and that the rights that are so appreciated by youth, like the freedom of movement, freedom of information and freedom of expression.
Sidonia Jedrzejewska of Poland is the EPP Group's vice coordinator in the Parliament's Budget Committee.
The perspective of the EU membership is a powerful modernizing tool. It has proved to be the case in the Balkan states. I believe it can have the similar power and strength in the post-Soviet republics. You can see how powerful the perspective of the EU enlargement is in Georgia, for example.
So the conference was aimed not at dwelling on a tragic past, but in shaping the future of Europe. Kalniete says her outlook draws from her life experience that began in a Soviet gulag.
What I consider most important, I lived in a uniformed country with uniformed ideology, behavior, everything. Nothing I prize so highly as diversity, and which goes together with tolerance.
Some may think that with the Cold War having ended 20 years ago, that we can put it all behind us. But as the conference shows, the post-Soviet reconstruction is still very much a work in progress. Find out more about the activities of the largest political force in Parliament by checking eppgroup.eu. Thanks for watching, and see you again soon.